Hey there, Paul. Looks like you're the first for tonight. Good to see you. I just need to... And already the channel's gone to hell with Pedro in here. Alright. Just need to adjust a few things here. That should do it. Let's see. iPhone, iPad opening stuff. Arilla, Yate, Tom, Jason, Alexi, Timbo, Seth. Okay, so we need one of those. We need a bunch of these. Not so much one of that. Alright, this isn't just a standard display replacement. This also, it's not getting any power. So we've either got a battery issue or we've got a internal logic board issue. I have to ascertain and then see what we can do. Mr. Willits. Oof, even my glasses are dirty. Wow. Yep, not much better. Oh well. And John L, who's also in Discord. Just waiting for this to warm up. Yeah, I remember some names, John. Some names, not all. See, John's a 420 supporter. It might be warm enough for me to start working on it. Yep, Pedro, you're the king of them all. Okay, so, yeah, alright, not powering up. Obviously it's shattered, it's gone all the way through up the top here, but that's okay. This section up here is mostly just a void. Yeah, John, we're actually trying to find something for our, couple of our kitty cats too. But it's not so easy to get a hold of. Especially in the appropriate levels. So we are trying some other stuff for the moment. What is all this trash on my wedges here? Hey there, creature. I have been pretty busy with other stuff. Not so much Mac repairs at the moment. That's pretty thin on the ground at the moment. But I have been doing a lot of work with the ring lights and all that sort of gear. Been producing mount systems for the ring lights that allow me to use the... Okay, this is the one if I'm just going to mount straight onto the Barlow lens, so it's just going to use friction fit to hold it there with some nylon screws so it doesn't scratch up the Barlow. But then I've also got one for that plastic ring adapter that you get with most AM scopes. And I've also got one that will, I'm just printing it at the moment, one that will work on the 1x Barlow, or basically it's just a protective lens cover. If you have a microscope and you don't have a protective lens cover on it, or a Barlow, then I suggest you go and get one. It's quite amazing how much trash splatters up from the work you're doing and gets onto your primary objectives. And once it gets onto those objective lenses in the microscope, it's almost impossible to clean them properly. It's kind of like when you have a decent camera, one of the first things you do is you just stick a UV filter or something like that on the front. Yeah, unless you're absolutely desperately trying to get every little smidgen of light, you're often better off getting yourself a protective cover. Cost yourself a tiny amount of light to the camera, but it's well worth it. Yeah, you can either get, usually most of us end up with like a 0.7 Barlow or maybe a 0.5 if you're into iPhones mostly. Not 0.5, what am I talking about? If you're into iPhones, you don't have a Barlow. Yeah, this one's been difficult. I'm kind of worried I'm sucking up little pieces of glass at the same time. Yeah, going with the 0.7 Barlow gives you about 130 millimeters of working space compared to the standard 100. I can tell you this much, this is a never been opened before iPad. Okay. Yep, that was a little aggressive. Fortunately, no damage. Thankfully, the Wi-Fi antenna is still good. Some breaks with the glass just seem to be a lot more complicated to get to separate than others. Yeah, creature. The 0.7 to 4.5 is standard for almost all of them, and then of course you have, as you know, the 10 by eyepieces. So yeah, most of your magnification actually comes from the eyepiece. So you want to keep those nice and clear or get good quality ones. Yeah, I'm making a bit of a mockery of this one, I'm afraid. I'm sorry, folks. It's definitely not the nice, swift and clean one. And yeah, we're running at 230 here. We're not doing the crazy 450. I did that once. I don't really care to do another melt of the screen. I was a little bit concerned when I'm doing this, make a slip and it's like, hello, raspberry juice. Hey, Myth. Yeah, not exactly the English magician. Don't really have very many tricks. I can make your money disappear. That's about it. Oh yeah, this is coming off nicely. Oh yeah. Of course, I grew up in the era where Paul Daniels was, of course, widely known here in Australia and the UK as the magician. So I always had that being thrown at me. Yeah. Sorry. That was a little expressive. Just got to free up the adhesive here. That's what I like to hear. Okay. And unfortunately, this adhesive is stuck there, which gets in the way of me being able to get that screw out. Nah. In fact, I'll just pull up all this adhesive in one shot. There's no point trying to retain any of that adhesive. You've got to get rid of it all. The new front digitizer has its own anyway. I know there are some people who don't even bother to take that off. Like you go to those 15-minute kiosks in the malls and things like that. It's kind of terrifying what they get away with. Yeah, I don't know how they can consistently provide like a 1 hour turnaround on iPads. You know they've got to be taking shortcuts somewhere. I mean, if you're really lucky and say you're dealing with a pre-existing iPad that's a screen already had a screen replacement, you can do it then if the adhesive wasn't too strong and if it is fairly clean. But outside of that, if it's a new iPad, yeah, it's not much of a chance you're going to get that done in 1 hour. Not cleanly. Or maybe if you're really lucky, it's just a simple single crack. Doesn't happen often enough though. Okay, disconnect the battery. What is interesting here is already there's a little dot there. That's kind of weird for that to be there. Okay, you can go into the safe room. Hey, Mr. Allen. Creature in this particular one, not quite sure what's wrong with it. It's not charging. So above and beyond the digitizer itself, we have obviously a power issue. And I've also got another one that's got a power issue, although the other one is probably a shorted cap or something like that because it's pulsing. Okay, we'll have to clean this up in a bit because we've got to get that home button assembly off. But before I do any of that, I really need to have a look and see if there is anything that I can spot that could be causing this to not charge. Unfortunately, I can do that without having the screen on there. Hey B-Blood, yeah, definitely trying to minimize the amount of crap that goes in here is one of the more difficult aspects. So we get 5 volts, 1, 2, 3. We basically don't really get any. So it's is detecting it, but it's not. Okay, it is reset. Oh wait, there we go. All of a sudden we've got 500 million. What? That's interesting. It's all over the place. I'm going to put the screw back in the battery and see if that changes anything. Where did I put those screws? Oh, that's right, over here. It wasn't showing the 400 milliamp charge before. Okay, plug that back in. So I've got 3, nothing, 3, nothing. So maybe the battery's what's at fault here. So like with the battery connected, we're only getting 3 or so milliamp, which is pretty much just the quiescent current that is drawn by the charge cable itself. Hey Ed Boss. And Neo, sort of half and half. I'm just trying to remain in contact with people, show that I'm not completely dead yet. It's definitely bouncing around pretty severely there. So what we're going to do is we'll take the battery screw out again, and this time we're going to isolate it properly. We've got our little piece of plastic that hopefully will sharpen it up a bit. I think my fingertips got ground down more with that one. Well, it's not perfect, but it might be enough to have isolated the battery. Let's see what happens now. Still jumping around. Alright. Hey there, Harold. How you going over there? Okay, so we're going to try and do better with... You got to be careful when you put these battery isolators in because you can damage the little prongs that are used for transferring data information. Yeah, it's definitely bouncing around like crazy. Okay, let's pop the shield and see what we can find underneath. Hopefully we'll find something obvious. Yeah, it's getting bloomin' hot here. I mean, really, really hot. I think we've got a few 38 days coming up, and that's not going to back off until about April next year. Not liking the fact that nothing directly blatant yet, so now I'm going to have to actually start looking. I can try put the thermal camera on, see if anything flickers. Usually it's in this area. It could be a bad TriStar, but doesn't really seem to be behaving like that yet. Yeah, good job, Pedro. Excellent suggestion. Okay, I'm going to have a look at an edge on. Hey, Stephen W. Yes, that's pretty much the way it goes. Why bother calculating exactly how many caps we need? Just keep adding caps. Got more space? Add some more. Can't hurt much. I just noticed that the microscope camera is actually a little on the dark side. Sith Lord camera. Oh, come on, give me my damn pointer. The next camera I get, I'm going to be sure that I get one that the pointer shows up properly. And one that actually remembers the settings on boot, because this one resets every time I get a boot. I'll push up the light a little bit too. There you go. Something on that middle one there, but I don't think it's anything. Just looks like a bit of dust. Alright, let's try some short detection. Not looking good. Maybe it's audio. Wouldn't be the first time. Oh, crunchy. Oh, please don't be the named. Alright. thermal camera. And the port looks good too. Creature, the impact point is up here, so it's sort of a... It just sort of went into this blank area. Okay, plugged in. There's actually nothing there, so I'll throw a towel over it and see what happens. It's kind of a weird spot though, given that there's no components there. Hey, is there a surge? Alright. Yeah, it was just a reflection. So we did get a few seconds of it going up to 400. Oh, there we go. Something, yeah, we're doing 74. Ah, that's not good. That's right in the CPU. Maybe it's just a bad port. Hey, Mr. Stamps. I have a feeling it might actually just be a bad port. It just didn't visually look like a bad port. So I'm just going to disconnect that, reconnect the battery. Hey, Shadow's favorite E. What the hell? I'll take your $5. I'm not so sure I'm about the hot tub girl. Thank you very much, Shad. Hey, Didamrez. What's happening new on your side? Alright, so that's in... Yeah, like I said, I think if I twist this, it might actually... Let's see, twist. Let's see. There we go, yeah. Yeah, that's proper charge current, but it's really... Yeah, it's a bad port. I hate bad ports. They are a major pain to replace. I wonder what's broken on it though. So as you can see, the pins themselves are quite fine. There is a little bit of corrosion in there. And it happens quite frequently with iPads. I'm not sure why. So I don't know whether there's a cracking issue down here with the board or what. I'll see if I can remove that clear over protective filter and see if there's any disconnected pins there. Sorry, I'm just trying to decide which brightness I want here. I suppose we better disconnect that battery. Damn, why is it hot in this little village? Okay, Paul, take care of yourself, eh? Hope the nap gives you a little bit more vitality back. Okay, we're gonna come in with 200, I think. Yeah, 200, 40% air. Ooh, it's fairly hard stuff. I'm making a bit of a mockery there. Sorry, got a cough. Apologies to the headphone wearers. Okay, so what I'm doing is seeing if anything doesn't have good continuity. Everything there seems okay. I guess we'll try clean it up and give it a reflow anyway. It's been a long time since I've done anything with CB radios. Used to have a nice Uniden single sideband setup with a, I think it was a, we had I think it was about a quarter wave or half, I can't remember, quarter or half on the roof, a 3-element Yagi. And we used a great big broom to turn it around and point it in the direction we wanted to go. Pretty sure it was probably half, yeah. I'd pick up on single sideband. I'd pick up conversations down in Tasmania and places like that. You know, when the atmospheric conditions were good. Hey, Christian. I feel this is going to be bad. Yeah, I think I might have to use the other iron. I'm going to have to use the other iron in combination with hot air. Hey, Mr. McDermott, good evening. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is just going to dot down some solder. It's not going to reflow properly or anything like that. Its only purpose is to just stick there so that I can come back later. Alright, now I can come back with the hot air. Again, this is only at 200, but it just gives you a bit of a chance to get the heat in. There we go. I saw that get drawn in. It's not. I might have to push up a little bit on that temperature. After all, we're dealing with a great big aluminium heatsink on the other side. I'm worried I'm going to have to bring in the big wedge iron. Niemann Barkak. Yeah, I've already stuffed it up. Look at that, already melted. Damn it. Oh, that was dumb. Looks like I'll be replacing speakers. Oh, that suckety sucks. Didn't fix it anyway. Nope, that's not fixing it. Alright, so this will require an entire flex reassembly, and I'm going to have to replace those speakers, damn it. Yeah, well. I mean, they might work, I don't know. We'll have a look. It's always a pain when I use the hot air to assist. Sometimes the plastic, you focus so much on the connector that you don't see what you're doing to other parts. Yeah. That's annoying. They might be okay. I'll test them and see how they are. I'm not happy about that though. I really wish I knew why these fail the way they do. As in where on the connector the actual breakage is occurring. Yeah, no, that's not going to be a fun replacement. Like I said, really not a fan of doing that. In fact, it might be a case that I'll quote the person. They may just decide, you know what, we don't really want to bother with that. Okay, that one's down. Let's try the next one. Okay, so this one may be a dead cap issue, because if I plug it in... Oh, now it's fine. Could be another bad... Yeah, this is another, this is another bad... yeah. Pass! Okay, so 2 bad connectors on those. What a pain in the ass. Alright, fine, we'll switch to a MacBook. What have we got? We've got an A1932, I think. 2179 that we've got to do data recovery for. Okay, this has already been pre-assessed, and it was a case of I'm only going to attempt it if it's for data. And this one's just got liquid damage all over it. And the CPU thingy fell off. So liquid there, it's just all over. You can't overly see it, but it's in the CD32 chips as well. So yeah, this is going to be fun. This is you can see why this is only a data recovery. It's like, you know, you've got damage. It's just everywhere, and it's been running while it's been liquid damage. You know, while the liquid's there, so you know all these one side of the caps have been corroded. So backlights dead. That's bad. See, this is a big problem under the PMIC. So I'd say 90% likely this is Cactus. Doubly so because it's 2179. When you get these type of jobs, what you try to do is ascertain whether there's any viability as quick as possible. And of course, yeah, 3217s. It's like, ugh. Was this we're getting confused here between Paul S and myself, or we got another discussion going around here? I do still get a lot of people emailing me thinking that I am Paul S. That concerns me. Look at that. That's a little burn mark. Yeah, Jim, you should be sending that to someone closer for sure. You don't want to waste postage money and time sending anything to me. A pin will not go into that hole. It's more of a abrasion burn sort of thing, so it could just be a manufacturing blemish. I don't know. I'd say this thing is dead as a doornail. Holy shit, it actually got 20 volts. How do you get 20 volts on this? Seriously, you got 20 volts? Alright. Yeah. 20 volts for how long? And I think someone else has been here too. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to flux and boil a lot of areas and hope for the best. It's a very unusual spot, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm going to basically go along, flux and boil everything, clean up that corrosion. Yeah, someone else has been scratching at this. That looks tolerable. Yeah, it doesn't look like anything critical's on there. It's just crazy. As you go around, you see how many different bits and pieces are being touched. Yeah, it is. Yeah, this is strictly data recovery at this point. There's no way that a machine like this would ever be, for me, qualified to go out as a general machine again. I may have to put this through the ultrasonic as well. Now I know obviously we don't want to always ultrasonic, because we lose our hints, but I find on these situations sometimes the ultrasonic actually gives you the hint, in the fact that it will tend to chew away at the weakest link. And so then you can just go along with your, tweezer tips, start probing around, and you'll find that little resistor or cap that's got a dud end on it, and it will come free. Doesn't always work out that way, but it's it's one method. I'm a little worried about doing the T2, but I feel like I have to. I've got a horrible feeling that if I don't flux up and boil the T2, not the T2, the PMIC, I have a feeling that it might run for a little bit and then it will crap the bed, so to speak. I think 1v2 always might be dead on this. We should just have a preheated container of flux. Something that's sitting at 200 or so. Just dip boards into it and ultrasonic in hot flux. Are you lagging, creature? I think you might be lagging because I just already dealt with that. Trackpad's been beaten up. Oh, there's a bit of bleeding going on that one. Just here, I can see there's bleeding. So I'll try to make a mental note of the square chip near the trackpad has got some blood on it. Even all this section's all... I'm amazed. It's amazing at times that you can get 20 volts showing up on machines that are this badly drenched. Reminds me, I did an iPhone 14 Plus the other night, and I've never dealt with 14 Pluses or 14s at all. So it was interesting to discover that Apple has gone back to the old ways where you have to remove the back of the phone in order to get access to the logic board. Of course, it's quite a bit harder now to do that because the back glass is bonded down quite well. Anyway, I managed to get that sorted out, and amazingly, it was just two shorted caps that were exposed. I mean, that was some extreme luck there. Got the person's data back and threw that into the dumpster. Told them not to bother with any lotto tickets because they used up all their luck. I'm a little worried about this pin here, down here. But like I said, this is a data job, so if we can get into target disk mode, we'll be good. Yeah, B-blood, that's correct. Warm enough to make the flux activate and do its job, but not hot enough to actually reflow connections. You'll see the flux now and then start fizzing a little bit, or putting up little bubbles, and that'll be it doing its job. Yes, that's warm. Yeah, so these 3217s, I'm amazed that it's running. One thing I have found, and I'm probably wrong on this because I'm wrong on so many things, is that the 3217s seem to tolerate their companion chips falling over a lot better. They can continue to run with quite a lot of issues with the other chips still. Whereas with the 3215s, as soon as one of them even looks remotely bad, the others are like, well, we're out. We're not doing anything. We're just going to sit here in 5 volts only. But the 17s, they seem to soldier on quite well, in spite of ugliness. I don't want to mess this area up too much because it obviously is functioning. I'm actually genuinely impressed this thing is still giving 20 volts, although I am worried the CPU's dead. Mostly because this area here got liquid damage, and these are your phase, your basically your buck converters that feed the CPU. So given that they have had liquid damage around them, there's a moderate chance that their feedback or their control or whatever has been thrown out of whack, which means they would have put something usually more than the voltage they're supposed to put into the CPU or the GPU. Just put that in the cooler. For the purpose of this, ow, crikey. Ran over my foot with my chair. I'm going to have to use a donor chassis for this, a known working chassis, because I have a feeling that theirs is, given the amount of liquid damage we've seen on that board, theirs is probably cactus. Alright, so we need a 20... Oh yeah, the daughter board is absolutely useless. Destroyed! Okay, we want a 2179. Let's see, what have we got? 1932, which is the early edition of the 2179. 1708, are you? Yep, 1708. 2141, yes, I finally have a 2141. I'm quite happy about that one. Although I would have actually, in all honesty, preferred to have had the job a success. 2179. Not that mine is really that much better, but it is better. I also have liquid damage marks here, but I do know this works. And in this particular case, so long as... I suppose I better put the heatsink back on. Wrong screwdriver, Mr. Daniels. The T5. But it is scary working with these 1932s and 2179s, because there's been a number of times where I have managed to get the board to boot again, and then 30 seconds later it's dead. It's just like brilliant, just brilliant. Hey Greg. I really don't like putting sticky boards into my test chassis, but we're going to do it. It can be a real process to get that flux back out. Not confident about putting the trackpad in though, so we'll hold off on that. We'll just see if we can get fundamentals. We want to see if we can get display, and yeah, I think we're going to have to put the battery in, otherwise it's just not going to come up probably. Okay. It's probably not going to do it. It's probably going to loop, most likely. I think I just saw it looping. Yeah, it's doing some sort of a loop. What is this? 600, 700, 600, 700. It's not wanting to charge. You can see it spiking there. It's doing about a 1.2 amp spike. My camera is having a seizure. You mean the focus? It's getting warm. And unfortunately the CPU is getting warm, so this is pretty much dead. Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with the streaming. Wow, my microphone auxiliary is a little way too high. Wind this down a bit. Okay, audio is a bit high. Yeah, it's getting angry in there. I've got 1.2 amps, so it's dropping about 25 watts of heat for a split second. But like I said, it feels like it's all coming from the CPU. Yeah, that's not really something you want to see. Unfortunately, the 2179s and the 1932s, this is basically what they do. The liquid just slips in here and there's no protection whatsoever. At least with the iPads, you know, we can just change those. We just change the charge ports on them if the customer wants to go ahead with that expense. Because both of them, they're also going to have to pay the expense of the digitizer as well, so it's probably not going to be worth it for either of them. I mean, it's possible there's some sort of control resistor, like I was saying before, where it could have, you know, lost contact from the corrosion, but the fact that this area here was damaged, it really is a common tale that's said a little too often. Hey, Promo. So my theory is the T2 is actually fine. Yeah, it looks like that might have actually just been a drop of water. The T2 is fine, all that stuff's fine, but yeah, the CPU is no longer with us. So in this particular case, if you wanted to get data back, given that the T2 is probably okay, you could migrate it to another board. I did ask about this a couple of times, and the general advice I keep getting is that you're better off migrating the T2 plus the ROM plus the NANDs rather than trying to install a new CPU on these ones. The CPU is basically, it just dies apparently. You look at it funny and it dies, which I totally agree with. Trouble is getting a hold of a working this is A20 1989 or whatever. So all this is fine in spite of that corrosion. Yeah, that's bad news. I'll have to throw this into the ultrasonic cleaner though. I'll do that later. I need to get a rubber band, even though this is like, what do you call it, post-it notes. They don't really stick, so you need a rubber band to hold it together. That's okay. Another disappointed person in life. How normal. Well, yeah, we're pretty much, that's it, pretty much, yeah. I don't think I've got nothing else that's up and running at the moment that needs fixing. I just need to go check my 3D print. Ooh, you finished. Okay, this just finished printing. We'll have a looky at it. Okay, this, let's pop this out. The fit was a little bit tight for this one. And also I didn't put supports in, so it didn't print properly. Nima, come on. There we go. So this is a Barlow 1x but this is the protective lens I was talking about. So all it is just a straight piece of glass, treated or something maybe, who knows. And so these are the metal ones. So if you're not running any Barlow on your microscope, then getting one of these is a good idea. Anyway, so this is the 3D print mount for my what do you call it? Ring light. So we'll just break it free of the supports. Wow. A little tougher than I thought. Most of the things I do don't need supports. Not sure why they bothered to put the supports for the holes, because I've been printing these holes without any dramas for ages. I should have found a way to deselect that. See if it fits. Okay, so at least that fits. That's good. Where you going? I'm just getting the 3mm grubs for this. Not grubs, 3mm inserts. That'll be fine. Let's try to clear them out a little more. Worried about slicing my finger, of course. Standard fear. Yeah, that one's cleared. So previously, like on that, it had no supports, and as you can see, it's perfectly fine. It's a little bit oblong, but it's not a big problem because, you know, I'm putting the brass inserts in. Okay. And we get ourselves some 3mm screws. Yeah, not going to be long enough. You're too long. Okay. Completely useless. I mean, I suppose I could just trim these ones down, but I've got some other 3mm brass, 3mm nylon somewhere. Ah, here we go. Here we go. 3x8. Visualizes some obstructions from the I do have actual grub screws coming tomorrow, so I'll probably just use grub screws rather than nylons, but we'll see. I'll end up putting these files up on the internet so that anybody that wants to print a ring light adapter holder thingamajig can do so. Okay, you're going to be difficult, aren't you? Yes, you are. Alright, so this one here has been a little bit difficult. It's also not sufficiently in. I may just use a metal screw to clear that one. Here we go. Okay, that's good. Okay, so that does the job for that, and we'll put on a, let's see, no, not the DT. Where are you guys? I should have a box around here of prior completed ring lights and just random things. There it is. Yeah, this one should do the trick. This is not quite the latest version, but it does have the right ring hole pattern. Okay, now I've got to work out the orientation, because I'm an idiot and I actually didn't get the holes in the PCB exactly 120 degrees, even. I just sort of eyeballed it, and as a consequence I keyed it, but not intentionally. What do we got here? 2x6s, 2x6. I'd actually prefer to find a self-tapper rather than these ones. I mean, it's okay with this stuff, with the PLA, because it's got its own sort of grain in there, so as you sort of screw through it, it doesn't seem to mind. Anyway. And it does hold quite securely. Let's see, did I go wrong? So I'm curious to see whether those screws are going to have to be shortened from 6mm to... Come on. I have a feeling these might have to drop down to 4mm or 5mm or something like that. I'll show you why it won't melt. The PLA won't actually melt. It may deform, but I've circumvented that using a bit of a trick. With one simple trick. Alright, okay, so that actually fits fine. And fortunately the screws have not come through, so that's good. Alright, the simple trick is, as you can see here, I've air gapped the board away from the PLA. So there is a little bit of a standoff here, but there's enough of an air gap there. I have run the one that I've got running at the moment for quite some time, and it's not giving me any troubles. But yeah, this is PLA plus, so I don't know exactly what the plus is on this particular one, but it is PLA plus. I just noticed I've got a bit of a split on the screws there. So yeah, I need to find something better than these 2x6 machine thread. I'd prefer a 1.9 by 4 or something like that, because it doesn't need to take a lot of load. It's just simply to hold the aluminium board to this, and the holes are 1.6 diameter. But yeah, just trying to find a supply of self-tapping screws around that size. It was actually a little trickier than I thought in Australia here. Yeah, I'm sure I'll find some. But yeah, I've definitely split that. So I know that those screws are a little bit too big. If I put them in hot, they probably would be fine. Is that a split? Yeah, that's a split. That one seems okay. Likewise that. Maybe there was an issue with the print there. Doesn't matter. The point is they are just a little bit, just a smidge too big. I suppose I could make the hole a bit bigger. I don't think it is the seam. Well, maybe it did split, but I've never had that happen before with any of the other ones. I can see, I think what happened is I picked up a bit of plastic from the top and it added to the effective diameter of the screw, and it's pushed it out. Because as you can see here, the seam is kind of like moved around a little bit, so it's not one continuous bead. But actually I can just start seeing the whitening indicating that it's about to break. You can just see it down here. Just sort of like that third and fourth row. I don't know if you can see it, but I can see it starting to whiten. Losing the gloss and turning into more of a matte. So I think that's going to break through. These screws have a 3 perimeter on them. So yeah, I mean, all of that stuff is, you can see it here, there's a pretty good perimeter on those. I don't put mine in silica drying or anything like that for the moment. Yeah, you can see there's a 3 perimeter on this one. So, I mean, if you ignore that middle, the inner bit, so you got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I think I just have to make these holes a little bit larger and bring the standoff out just one more, a little bit. But it does work, and it does keep it from melting or distorting the PLA. So I'm pretty happy with how it is. Just some fine tuning, and obviously, my 3D printer is not the world's best 3D printer, but it does allow me to prototype these things, and that's what matters. Try 100% infill. That would take forever to print. Absolutely forever to print. Alright. Okay then, well listen, it's midnight. Time for me to go and cry about the failures of tonight, since what's it, 2 iPads that probably won't get fixed, and an unfortunate a 2179 with a failed CPU. At least I know the model for this is fine. Like I said, I might just increase the standoffs a smidge more. At least with this setup, I can afford to reduce the diameter of this inner ring. Whereas when I'm doing it like this, where it just simply goes onto the Barlow directly and uses just a friction hold, I can't reduce the inner diameter. But at least with this one, I can. So I might do that. Anyway, the fundamental design is fine. At least now I've got this particular adapter sorted out. I've got the other adapter sorted out. And if you're going, what's the other adapter? It's the... yeah, here we go. This is the one that most people will have with their Amscopes at the moment. It's this plastic flared out one, and the ring light usually just sort of, those 3 screws go into here. That's the adapter I'm using. And funnily enough, I've only got the 2 screws. The one I did afterwards, I put 3 in it, but it actually has got the 3rd in there. I just haven't installed it. Didn't need it. See ya, creature. So yeah, it's perfectly fine with just the 2. That's the one I'm using right now. All you see is darkness, because I just messed with it. We'll be back shortly as I finish stuffing around for this. Anyway, the main reason why I've done all this is so that no matter what sort of current setup people have with their microscope ring light, they should be able to adapt over to these ring lights without too much drama. Alright, I'm out here. Thanks for watching. Sorry it was a disappointment, but hello and goodbye, I guess. So, until the next time, you'll take care. I'll see you later.